Hey, what's up guys, Ding from Dingsworkshop here. Today I'm going to review this Atomstack A5 Laser Engraver from Banggood.com. Now this is a great product overall, but one thing that surprised me was it did not come with any instructions on how to operate it. It only came with a set of instructions on how to assemble it. Therefore, I had to figure out everything on my own on how to operate this thing. But don't let that worry you because I've got everything covered in this video for you. I'm going to share with you how to assemble this laser engraver, where to find the software and how to configure the software properly, and how to get you started on your first laser engraving project. So let's get started. My overall impression is this is a great laser engraver if you're on a budget. The total engraving area for this laser engraver is 410 millimeters in the x-axis and 400 millimeters in the y-axis. Now one thing that makes this laser engraver stands out is the inclusion of this acrylic cover surrounding the laser module. This cover actually helps you to filter out the diffuse light from the laser spot, but then again it is still recommended to wear the proper eye protection when you're operating the laser. Now as you can see, there are no belt or any other type of cable management, but these have not given me any trouble so far. Now this unit does not come with any limit switches, which means it will not stop even if it hits the limit. For example, I am already at the limit over here. If I force the laser to move that way, it will move that way. It's not going to stop. And that's going to cause your motor to make a very annoying grinding sound. Another thing I wanted to point out is the unit does not have any on-off switch. Therefore, I recommend you guys to use a power strip that has an on-off switch. The package was shipped out on September 25th and arrived at my house on October 8th. So it took less than 2 weeks for the package to go from China to Seattle. And as you can see, it is very well packed. So now let's take a look at the inside. As you can see, the inside is also very well packed. Here is the user's manual. There is another one below. So that means there are 2 of these rails. This looks to be the tools, accessories, and some samples to try things out. This is just a very standard USB cable. This should be the main controller. This is a plug converter that they've included. This is for eye protection. So this is the power supply. This power supply takes 100 to 200 volt AC, and the output is 12 volt, 5 amps. So this appears to be, I don't know, European type of plug, but this is no big deal. I have a bunch of cables laying around in my house. I'll just replace this cable. This appears to be 4 pieces of, only 3. Okay, I have 3 pieces of something, no more. Okay. So this is the main laser module. This is a class 4 laser, 5 watt of output power. So this is rail number 1. Feels pretty solid. And the prompt told me there's another one below. And here it is. Come on. There it is. No markings on this one. And this piece seemed to be pre-assembled. There are more frames down below. This is the brand Atomstack. And another piece of frame. Okay, that seems to be all of the parts in here. So now let me compare the manual and make sure I've got all the parts here. Okay, so there are no missing parts, so now I'm going to assemble this. So all the small parts are broken down by steps with reference to the user's manual. This is definitely thoughtful. Well done. Okay, let's start with the aluminum bar with the company logo on it, and also the bar with markings. The numbers will point inside, the markings will be outside, like so. Another way to tell which one is inside and outside is by looking at the mounting holes. See, these are countersunk. You take the screws from step 1. And the bottom frame, flat side on top. And the other bar does not have any markings, but just know that the countersink screw holes should be pointing outside. In this step, the motor just fits right into the rail. Feels super smooth. One side has rubber, one side doesn't. The side has rubber is the actual feet. Okay, this part's a little tricky. You need to get a synchronization belt right in the middle, and then they need to go under these two wheels. There's one. This one goes under. So the belt has a little marking over here, and I presume that is for the screw that's gonna tighten this belt in place. And then do the same on the other side. Okay, now let's put on the laser module. This machine also came with this protective shield right at the laser level, which is a plus. Okay, last step, we have the motor stopper. Okay, let's move on to the software setup. For the software, I'm using LaserGRBL. It is an open source free software that's very well suited for doing laser engraving. So let's go to LaserGRBL.com, and then in their website, click download, and then let's get the latest version. Okay, once it's downloaded, just click the installer and go through the installation process. Okay, after the installation, you can go ahead and launch LaserGRBL. Now, when you first install LaserGRBL, you will not get these customized buttons. And I'm going to show you how to get these buttons from their website. So go back to their website and go to Usage, and then Custom Buttons. Once you're there, just scroll down to near the bottom and click Download. Okay, so this file contains all the customized buttons for LaserGRBL software. Okay, now we're back to LaserGRBL. You just right-click this empty area and say Import Custom Buttons. And then navigate to where you saved the file. And just say yes all the way through. Okay, so now you have imported all the custom buttons. These are particularly helpful, and I'm going to go through every single one of them to show you what they do. Okay, next, let's plug in the power for the laser engraver and also connect the USB cable to the USB port of your computer. And once the laser engraver is connected, notice if the COM port shows up automatically. Right now mine is empty. And I plugged it in, it shows COM4. You can also verify if you are using the correct COM port by going to the device manager. See, right now I only have one COM port. And if your computer does not show up COM4, you can go to Tools and click Install Driver. And this is going to help you enable the COM port. It will look like this. Okay, once we have the correct COM port selected, again, on my computer it shows up as COM4. On your computer it could be COM1, 2, 3 or any number. The baud rate, let's keep it at 1150-200. And now we can turn on the power for the laser engraver. Okay, we can click this little button that says connect. And if this shows up, that means you are already connected to your laser engraver. Okay, now that we have the connection established, the first thing we need to do is to set up the 00 point. Now, because this laser engraver does not come with stop switches, you need to manually set the 00 point. Like so. And then in LaserGRBL, click this globe button. And that's going to record your current position as the 00. You can use these navigation buttons to tell your laser where to go. And then you can set the steps and speed. Now again, because this laser engraver does not have limit switches, that means it will not stop. It will always execute the command even if you're at the limit. So for example, if I were to tell the laser to move down 50 steps, even though it is already at 0, it's not going to stop. It's actually going to make this very annoying grinding noise, and it's probably hurting your motor and the drive belt. So try not to do that. But now if I press up 50, it's going to move 50 millimeters. On the right, 50 millimeters. Diagonal, 50 millimeter. So right now I should be at 10 centimeter and 10 centimeter. And the little house just brings your laser to your home, which is 00. And you will notice all of these buttons are currently grayed out, and that's because they're not yet functional. There is a laser blink button that you can use. Let me bring up the cursor a little bit so we can see it clearly on the camera. So this button basically turns on the laser. So when you hold it down, the laser is going to turn on. When you release it, it's going to turn off. At this point, this laser is very weak, so it's not going to hurt your material. This button is meant for focusing, but this laser engraver, the laser comes pre-focused, so we don't need to use this button. This is the fan on-off button, but this laser comes with a fan that's constantly on, so we don't need to worry about this button as well. Okay, so now let's try to engrave something. First, make sure the laser is at home. Okay, now let us load up the file. In this window, you're going to see many options. Line-to-line tracing is basically going either horizontal, vertical, or diagonally, where it traces every single detail. Vectorize is very well suited if you are trying to trace the outside line of your figure, but Vectorize also has the option to fill in whatever is inside. For this demonstration, I'm just going to trace the outside line. And center line is going through the center line of the figure. So for this demonstration, I'm going to use Vectorize. The software also provides capability to do some minor editing of your picture. Okay, hit next. And this is where you can set the speed, laser power, and image size. Now the user's manual does provide a reference table on recommended speed and laser power, but a lot of the material requires the user to figure it out. So there's going to be some trial and error required. So bottom line is, if you are engraving a new material that you've never dealt with before, I highly recommend you guys to first try out on a scrap piece of material, just so that you can note down the parameters. And auto size is where you can set up the dots per inch, which is a pretty nice feature. Or you can specify your desired width and height. You can also offset the starting point. Now for this demonstration, I'm going to use 80 and 80. And also I'm going to use 1000. Okay, after we're done, just hit create. Okay, now as you can see, all of these customized buttons are enabled. This button moves the laser to the center of the frame. So let's do that right now. Okay, now the laser has moved to the center of the frame. Another very useful button is this framing button. So when you click it, the laser is going to move around the parameter of the picture. This is a very useful function that's going to help you position your material correctly. So let me do that right now. So what I noticed was the laser was moving right along the edge of the material. So I'm going to move the material to the left just a little bit. And I'm going to reframe again. Okay, much better. Alright, this looks good. Okay, now we're ready to start engraving. Now during the engraving process, there's going to be a lot of smoke, so I recommend you guys to do this in a well-ventilated area. So for me, because it's raining outside, I'm doing this in my garage, but right above my laser engraver is my air filtration system. I'm going to turn that on, and then we can start engraving. And there we go. Okay, now I'm going to try some other materials and share with you guys. Now I've also tried on different metal surfaces. I've tried maximizing the laser output power. I've tried slow down the movement speed. None of them worked. The only thing that worked was if I put a permanent marker on a piece of metal, and then the engraving would show up. But that's not really engraving into the metal, you are just burning away the marker. I also tried on a piece of painted metal, but the laser actually just burns away the paint, not into the metal. Okay, here we can see the difference between dithering and line to line. Personally, I like dithering better if I am looking at it from a long distance. But up close, line to line actually looks better to me. So this is the dithering. Looking up close, you can see the dots. Okay, here's a closer shot. And far away. Okay. And let's compare to the line to line. If we are looking at both pictures from far away, I like the one on the left more. Overall, I think this laser engraver is a great value and good product. Now, I don't believe this laser is powerful enough to make any markings on bare metal, but if you are a woodworker like me, I only care if this thing makes marking on wood or not. This guy can definitely make marking on wood, and it does an excellent job. In terms of pricing, this laser engraver currently retails for about $240 on Banggood.com. Considering the aluminum construction, the 5-watt laser, and the overall large engravable area, I think this might be the best laser engraver you can get for $240. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of my tools review. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm Ding from Ding's Workshop. See you next time.